history to understand, because sometimes in Arabic some words have an original meaning and then they have a secondary meaning also. So sometimes that secondary meaning is used, not the original meaning. And that's why you find that there are many deficiencies and mistakes in this work that I have. It is available in the internet. Obviously, it's not bad to have a copy, because some of you don't have Arabic with you, you can't understand. You need to have at least a work like that. I feel, actually, after having gone through the journey of this work, I feel this is one of the masterpieces of Islamic thought. I had never gone through a journey, literally, of this work, conceptually, obviously. But when I went seriously and looked at how Ibn Sina has propounded the different levels of a mystic, I found that it's a masterpiece. It is worthy of being taught, because there are some experiences that an Arif will come across which are very similar, and it's a beautiful text. And the sixth work, which is also worthy of consideration, is Awsaful Ashraf, Characteristics of the Exalted, by Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi, who is a commentator, or who has written a commentary over Al-Isharat. All right? Himself, he has written a commentary over Isharat. Awsaful Ashraf is also really a very beautiful text, a profound text, but it is his journey that he mentions. And then we have contemporary noteworthy works also, like Risale-e Sayr o Suluk, and a third source which I find that it is left in oblivion, but in my lifetime I have never come across such a powerful source, and such detailed and such accurate, and it gives you so much information which is very useful for a Gnostic. And this is known as articles, makalat. He has 3 volumes. Volume 1 is on theoretical mysticism, and volume 2 and 3 is on practical mysticism. He is known as Ayatollah Muhammad Shuja'i. This work has been written in an exceptional style. You see, why I tell you exceptional style is that even if you want to forget this work, you will not forget it. The way he has written it is exceptional. Now, when you talk about the credibility of the aforementioned works, I would find that, or any person who has understood these works will come to realize that all these are journeys that are correct. And in fact, we not only have these works, we have other works. They have also propounded. But all these depict either their specific journey or a general journey. Sometimes you get a general outlook that, for example, some people describe it as follows, that you start by a Taglia. The word a Taglia means, we have time? Do we have time? We have to break?
Since you haven't entered into this domain, we'll take a break at this stage.
No problem.
And then come back to cover this important issue. So let's have a half an hour break for tea, coffee, anything you want to have. Also get your questions ready, so when you come back after covering this point, we could maybe take a few minutes to ask some questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, my job here is basically to make sure that we're on topic and we're staying as close as possible to the ideas of intellectuality and spirituality. So the question that I had was that, initially Sheikh Khalfan, he presented the idea that actually we only have practical irfan and there's no such thing as two, and then he explained how there is actually a theoretical irfan and a practical irfan. The question that I had is, could we simply sort of divide this in our minds to say that the theoretical irfan pertains to intellectuality and the practical irfan pertains to spirituality? Can such a simple division be made, or no? This is the question.
With regard to the question that Sheikh Shuja mentioned. If you remember, we mentioned the fact that we have a hierarchy of existence that ends to Allah or to God, or that starts from God. It starts from God and ends to God, right? And there is a plane of existence where everything is united, and that is the state of dissolution in God. This is a kind of terminology they use, dissolution in God. That means, fana fillah. Fana also, when you say dissolution in God, sometimes they use the kind of example of a drop going to an ocean and dissolving in the ocean, all right? But this should not lead us to think that, we are trying to join with God. It's not like that. It's a kind of realization of what we are in reality, even now, but we don't realize. But we have to tear the curtains between us and God to realize how we really are with regard to God. We are completely nothing. We are, actually we are emanation in itself. There is a very beautiful expression that the late Imam Khomeini, who also was a very powerful Gnostic, he says that, the verse of the Holy Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Antumul fuqara ila Allah, wallahu huwal ghaniyyul hamid." You are poor people to God, and God is the all affluent and the praised one. He says, this faqir means a person who exists but doesn't have something. That means he has something, but he doesn't have something. He has his own existence, and he doesn't have other things, like he is materially poor or intellectually poor, whatever it is. But Imam Khomeini says, no, this is just musamaha. This is just to explain our very feeble minds. Otherwise, we are emanation in itself. That means our whole body, mind, and everything. So we are poverty. We are not poor. We are poverty itself. We are emanation in itself. This is the reality. Now, coming to his question, we should understand one thing, that the human being has two faculties. One is the faculty of comprehension, which is known as the theoretical intellect, and one is the faculty of action, which is known as the practical intellect. Both these have a hierarchy of existence. Both these go slowly and gradually and progress. With regard to the theoretical intellect, we mentioned that the end is the active intellect. All right? It is there where this theoretical intellect disappears. When we say disappears, it doesn't mean that it was and now we don't have any kind of intellect. No. It means you have reached a station whereby you are united with that original intellect, which is high. On the other hand, you have a practical intellect, which makes you do things. It tells you, pray on time, do this which is right, don't disrespect people, be concerned about them, and so on. Pray, fast, and whatever it is, with regard to the action of the human being. This is the practical intellect. Now, the practical intellect also has stages of perfection. First stage, we just wanted to mention, and we just completed our session. The first stage is known as Taglia. Taglia means to follow the religion of God. The apparent religion, whatever God has said, do this, don't do this, respect your parents, respect your elders, whatever. All the laws that God has sent, you put it in yourself and you follow. This is known as Taglia. Then, because you are a person who has ethics, good or bad, whatever it is, you need to remove and purge off the impurities of your heart. And that is known as a takhliya. That means you take out the bad things. It's, like telling a person that, if you want orange juice, I have fresh orange juice, bring a clean container. If you bring a dirty container, you will get dirty orange juice. You would not get that what I would like to give you. So in order to get the proper knowledge and the proper things from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to make a takhliya. You need to purify yourself. And as you go further, you come to a state of Taglia, whereby you are now beautifying yourself with the proper characteristics of God. As you go further, you come to a station whereby you dissolve in the actions of God. When I say you dissolve in the actions of God, what do I mean? I mean, you can literally know. You see, when I raise this bottle of water, I clearly see that God is raising it, but He is using me. You see, now we think we are independent. I have raised it with my own volition. But when you come to that level, you can clearly see that God is raising it, but through you. When you go further, you go to a state of al-fana fi sifat, whereby you come to realize that you don't have any kind of characteristic. If you have knowledge, if you are open-handed, if you have any kind of perfection, everything you see, it is coming from Him. The source is He. And this you don't conceptually know. There's a difference. Many of us conceptually know it. Intellectually we have come to realize this. But presentially you come to realize that there is no sifa except sifat of Allah. There is no attribute except that of God. Then you go further and you come to a state which is known as al-fana fi dhat, that is dissolution now in the essence of God. Here, in this state, you don't see anybody except God. Because you see that literally there is no existence except God, and you are His manifestation. You are His action. And look at this. Think about this. When I say you are His action, when Allah or God gives us existence, we always think that, an existence separated from Him. There is no separation. If any kind of existence separated from Him so that we become, that means He was a composite entity. But we know that He is not a composite entity. And therefore, because He is not a composite entity, whatever He gives is retained still by Him. And therefore, we are His, even in that level. Even when we say that, we are completely dissolved in God, it doesn't mean that we are dead or something. No. It means that we have a realization. Now, it is there, in that level, that the practical intellect and the theoretical intellect merge. And you become one entity. Your knowledge is your power, and your power is your knowledge. That's a very high level. But in that level, when you come back to your level in this world and you see other people and prayer time comes, it doesn't mean that you don't have to pray. No, you have to pray, because still you have to work in this level. For every realm, there is a place. So a very important point that I wanted to mention here is this, that even when Sheikh Shuja mentioned, is it a simple classification, that a theoretical irfan and practical irfan? No, it is not a simple classification. Why? Because scholars have proved this matter, that if you are not obedient to God, even this intellectual knowledge cannot be gotten very easily. You need to be a bit pious. You need to be obedient to God, so that, because even in this level of intellect, whatever you get is from the higher level. That means it's from God. And therefore, if you are not obedient to God, you will not even get the theoretical knowledge. And that is why it's very interesting for all of us to know that there are many books that have come lately about Sufism and Irfan and theoretical Irfan and all that. But some of them have not understood. Even from their expressions, you feel that they have not understood, because they have written it as an exterior observer. Okay, Irfan is this, it's that way, let me write a book on this. I have several books, I have looked at it, and now I'll write a book on Irfan. They may write a very nicely or beautifully styled book, but then they have not depicted Irfan at all. You need a master who is obedient to God, so that he can get that faith and that help from God, so that he can even expound and understand the conceptual Irfan, not only the presential Irfan. This is the relation. And another relation is this, that when you study theoretical Irfan, a time will come that you will be easily pulled towards that practical irfan. This is just like a gateway. But if it doesn't serve as a gateway, then it is al-hijab al-akbar, as Imam Khomeini mentioned, that it is the greatest veil. All right? Even if you have so much conceptual knowledge, you know all the terminologies, but then you are happy because of that, and you don't want to go further, that is a veil then. That is something which is reprimanded. Now, just to terminate the previous talk that we had, the previous lesson, it's very important for us to know this reality, and that is that although all these treatises of mysticism that I mentioned, the names of people who wrote this, would not serve as a template for us, but it would surely serve as a guideline towards what is over there in the higher realm. Because some of these states come to us. It's not only for specific people. So that is why you will find that many scholars who pursue mysticism, they do go to these books, they study it, they make sure they finish all these texts, and they have understood the journey of these mystics. Then, whenever they are guided to a different path, but obviously when I say a different path, it's not that it doesn't lead to the same goal. No, the goal is the same. The only thing is that it is your temperament, your psyche, your nature that depends. It's variable from person to person, and that the adept master can choose and can know. That is why it's very important to know that a master who can take you is not only al-kamil, is not only a perfect man, he is also al-mukammil. He can also perfect you. There are two kinds of mystics, as we shall come to see soon. One is that who reaches the sanctity and the proximity of God, but cannot come back to guide the people, because he doesn't have that much power. But we have another who is so strong that not only can he go, he can come back, return, and one realm does not occupy him from another realm. So this is a classification that some of the scholars have made with regard to mystics. Inshallah, we will come and discuss about that. Now, with regard to the second lesson, the discussions, inshallah, we will be covering from this Al-Isharat of Ibn Sina is as follows: deciphering a true arif. Now that we know that what irfan is, who is a true arif according to Ibn Sina? And obviously, when we say according to Ibn Sina, we are talking of according to Islamic religious knowledge, because his background is Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet and his sinless progeny. The second discussion is sincerity in the culture of mystics. When we say a mystic is sincere, what do we mean? Number 3, the beginnings. In the beginnings, that is the beginning of the path towards God, all right? A word will be given on resolution. That is, the first stage going towards Allah is resolution. How powerful a resolution you have. What are the causes of this resolution? And what are its effects? And then comes a word on self-discipline. Riyadha. That is, you discipline your soul so that you attain the higher level. And what is the source of this self-discipline? Sometimes the self-discipline is given by people who have some experience, spiritual experience. You know, it's very important for us also to realize that when we talk about mystical wayfaring, we have mystics, Buddhist mystics, we have Christian mystics, we have Muslim mystics, we have all these. But we have to know that there are some distinct features of Islamic mysticism. And what Ibn Sina has mentioned are these distinct characteristics of who is a Muslim, who is a mystic from the Muslim or Islamic viewpoint, which is also very important for us to understand, so that you can know, okay, that in Christianity, a mystic is such and such a person, one who has attained such a degree of let us say, spiritual upliftment. So you can try to distinguish that. Who is a true arif? Deciphering a true arif. There are some things that we may be told, that this person is, some people have the habit of describing people around a community that, he's an arif. And I have seen this, even in the seminary, when I just attended the seminary, I'm told, this scholar is an arif. Or when you go to a certain society, you are told, that man is an arif. An arif, that means he's a saint, he's a mystic, he's reached a very high level of spiritual cognition and so on. So in order to understand a true arif and not be misled, we would like to know who a true arif is. There are three people, or the three ways of a person being misled, towards the true definition of an arif. One is that by seeing the ascetic disposition of a person. See, when a person sees this person doesn't eat too much, he is very silent, he is respectful, he is isolated, he always tries to concentrate and so on. But so he is an arif. That's the conclusion from the layman point of view, because when he sees this, he's attracted to that. So beautiful. See, he's not eating too much, or he's not eating at all. He just doesn't like the worldly things. He doesn't want a good house. He doesn't want. He prefers walking, for example, and so on. The ascetic attitude. When you see this ascetic attitude, the first thing that you are attracted to it, because you want to do some of these things to make yourself in control. You are not able to do it, but you see somebody doing it and you are attracted. All right? This is one way of a person being misled, because such a person is not an arif according to the definition of Ibn Sina and according to the Islamic definition that inshallah we will see. The second is that sometimes I see a person constantly worshipping Allah, doing a lot of ibadat, and this reminds me of, a very beautiful historical incident at the time of the first successor of the Holy Prophet, that is Ali bin Abi Talib, alayhi salam. It is reported that after the Battle of Siffin, there was a group of people who were misguided and misled, who are thereafter known as the Khawarij. All right? They were well known of constant worship. So much worship that, calluses had appeared in their faces and in their kneecaps and in their toes. These were known as the Khawarij. Jundub, one of the companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he sees these people worshipping God and, reciting Quran and concentrating and in camps doing istighfar, he says, maybe these people are right and Ali is wrong. Imam Ali alayhi salam is wrong. This is how Jundub, who was with Imam Ali alayhi salam, but when he saw this, he said, but these people are so much worshipping God. So he said, I put my lens one side and I went and prayed to God. And I said, oh Allah, if these people are right, then block me so that I don't fight against them. Because Imam Ali alayhi salam wants to fight against them. And so what you do is, you show me the right way. Then Jundub says that a caravan comes, the Imam Ali alayhi salam comes with the horse of the Holy Prophet, and his men come. And as they come, Imam Ali alayhi salam tells him that, Jundub, this is what is going to happen. They are going to attack, and they are going to be killed, and they will not pass a certain river. So Jundub said, they have already passed that river. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, no, go and observe. You'll see they haven't passed. And when he observes, he sees that no, they have not yet crossed. They want to fight against Imam Ali alayhi salam. Then Imam Ali alayhi salam takes a Quran and gives it to, it says that, who can go to these people and invite them to the book of God and the sunnah of the Prophet. Because we don't want to fight them. We want them not to fight. They are our brothers. So you go and advise them and invite them to the Quran and the life of the Holy Prophet. So a youth said, "Oh Ali, I'm going to do it." So Imam Ali alayhi salam said, "No, you are very young. You don't go." Then again he asks, "Who among you is ready?" And then he says that who among you is ready to go and invite them, and whosoever goes, فَإِنَّهُ مَقْتُولٌ, he is going to be killed, 100%. Because he knew what's going to happen. Imam Ali alayhi salam, we believe, and we have come to that realization, that his knowledge is such that he has the knowledge of the whole circle of every human being's life. And that is why that dictum of his, لَوْ كُشِفَ الْغِطَاء مَزْدَدْتُ يَقِينًا. That means if he sees a person, the whole circle of the life, not only what's happening now in the higher realm, but the whole circle is there. So Imam Ali alayhi salam tells that who can go. The same youth comes and says, "Oh Ali, I would like to go." Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Sit down." Again he asks the people. Again that youth comes about. He says, "But you're going to be killed." He said, "But I am ready for martyrdom. I would like to go." So he goes to the battlefield and starts inviting. And they rain a rain of arrows at him, such that in the expression used in the traditions is that kana kal qunfudh, he became like a hedgehog, full of arrows. While this person came and said, come towards the Quran, whatever the Quran says, I'm inviting you to that, and the Sunnah of the Prophet, and this is what they did. So Jundub was looking at that scenario. When he saw this, he said that shock, that doubt that was there just came out from my heart. What I wanted to impress here, that these Khawarij, according to traditions, were so much devoted and worshipful that it is said that a person would be in the state of sajda the whole night, in the state of prostration. Some would be in the state of ruku, that is bending before God the whole night. That's how they were. And not people who would be weakened. No, they were people who could resist all the pressures. But you find that people were duped and deceived, that, these people are worshipful, these are Ahlul Ibadah, so they are Urafa. No, they are not Urafa. This is the second thing that can mislead a person to know who a true Arif is. And the third is one who is studying theoretical Irfan. As we mentioned, that theoretical Irfan is not a yardstick to judge that this person is an Arif, all right? Now, Ibn Sina, in his book about Irfan, first starts describing what are the qualities of a person who is a Zahid, that is a person who abandons the world and he is detached from the world. What are the characteristics of an Abid, a person who is worshipful, and what are the characteristics of an Arif? All right? He says the ascetic is one who turns away from the means of the world and its pleasant things. All right? This is very clear. The worshipper and abid is one who constantly observes not only obligatory deeds, but supererogatory worship, such as standing in prayer, fasting, etc.